This is not a household name like RFK, but it's an important pick for an important agency. Donald Trump has threatened the licenses of basically all the major television networks in the United States. Will he push his FCC chairman to follow through on those threats? Time will tell.
But it's not just Brian Stelter. A lot of people on the left are losing their mind. Talking about these cabinet positions, some you probably obviously have seen discussed quite a bit, including on the show, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, all those. But there are a lot of them that are just as important, and people don't really discuss them. They fly under the radar. So this brings us to, on Sunday, Donald Trump announced that he had selected Brendan Carr to serve as his FCC director. He put this on Truth Social. He said, I am pleased to announce that Commissioner Brendan Carr will be the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, FCC. Commissioner Carr is a warrior for free speech. He is. Everyone says it. Great warrior, fantastic warrior, and he has fought against the regulatory lawfare that has stifled Americans' freedom and held back our economy. He will end regulatory onslaught that has been crippling America's job creators and innovators and ensure that the FCC delivers for rural America. That's a mouthful, but he's actually right on all of it if you look at the views of Mr. Carr. So that would seem like something we could all be on board with. Why is the left losing their mind, including Brian Stelter, who's back at CNN but broadcasting from his man cave?
Return of the fact, he's gay. Sats now is back. He ain't straight. Return of the fact, oh my God. Return of the slack.
Sorry, Brian Stelter has two man caves. Here's the other one.
This is not a household name like RFK, but it's an important pick for an important agency. Donald Trump has threatened the licenses of basically all the major television networks in the United States. Will he push his FCC chairman to follow through on those threats? Time will tell. I know Brendan Carr personally. I saw him earlier this year. He is an affable Republican who has been on the commission for years. He has been trying to show his loyalty to Trump recently. For example, the other day, he wrote a letter to the heads of all the big technology companies asking about his concerns about social media censorship.
And I want to move on, but why does this is new and improved Stelter? That's why he looks like he mugged a kid on the beaches of Cuba and stole his chiclets and popped them in his mouth. It is. If you look at,
he got Botox on the top of his head.
It's completely. I don't know how this guy got this job. And then he was fired, and he was brought back. This guy has a file on someone. I guarantee it.
It's unbelievable.
He's untalented, unattractive, dishonest, and no one ever watched him. How does he keep coming back? It's like the Blob. All right.
Or Mr. Potato Head.
No, I like Mr. Potato Head. He has good qualities.
All right.
Fine.
It wasn't a very good joke either.
No, but it's Mr. Potato. He does look like him, but come on, let's easy on Mr. Potato Head.
All right.
We all enjoyed Mr. Potato Head.
Not as much as you,
no. No, you got a weird thing going on.
It was just me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I used to make doilies.
You just plug them in.
Yeah.
They had nipple holes?
Did Mr. Potato have nipple holes?
No, of course not.
Right.
What? They might now.
I dremeled
all pierced
some.
and everything. Oh,
Do I want it to be a man or not?
Son, where's my Dremel? You better not be making nipples on your dolls again.
Where are my nipple barbells, too? Oh,
jeez.
I guess I kind of walked into that one. All right. But it's not just Brian Stelter. A lot of people on the left are losing their mind. And they should be. And I'm glad that they are. So let's go through some claims here that the left is making. That here's the first claim. That Mr. Carr is part of Project 2025. And this comes from Olivia Juliana. She's a Democrat strategist in Texas. All y'all who said Trump wasn't connected to Project 2025 look goofy. Oh,
that's not fair.
See,
I look goofy?
I can't look at the monitor. Hold on a second. Bring
She
that
looks
back up.
gooey.
That is...
Was that translated from...
And the left would sooner accept her as health secretary than rip RFK Jr.
What the heck?
Oh, man.
Why are we listening to these people?
Here's the truth. Carr did help author Project 2025, the chapter on the FCC. A chapter that I agree with wholeheartedly.
Yes.
So this doesn't mean that it's Donald Trump's Project 2025. Just so you know, that just like if an advisor of Barack Obama or Joe Biden wrote a book, it doesn't mean that Joe Biden wrote that book. And there are parts of Project 2025 that were great. And there are parts I disagree with. That's the beauty of it being a proposal from a long list of people, a collective proposal from different people with different ideas. So here's what he wrote about on the FCC's main goals and what they should be. He said that the FCC should be focusing on reining in big tech. Great. Promoting national security. Great. Disagrees with Donald Trump on that. Thinks that there should be a ban on TikTok. And that also shows that Donald Trump can trust people with whom he doesn't agree on everything. He says that the FCC should be focused on unleashing economic prosperity and ensuring FCC accountability with some good governance because there hasn't been a lot of transparency. He also, this is what I support most, he very much is on board with the idea of scrapping Section 230. And we've talked about that when people say, well, what can we do? What can we do about big tech? It's really simple. It's not that hard, and it can be done. Scrap 230. Section 230 provides protections to big tech companies, right? It treats them as utilities. It treats them as platforms rather than publishers, where they are shielded from legal liability, where we can't be held liable for anything anyone says or anything on our platform, but they act as publishers, where they selectively edit, throttle, shadow ban people. And we've seen that, of course, disproportionately affect conservatives. All you need to do is force these companies to choose. Are you a platform, in which case you cannot censor or throttle people as long as what they are doing is legal, no matter how awful their viewpoints may be to you? Or are you a publisher, in which case YouTube, Facebook, Google, you can continue doing what you're doing. Give them the choice.
And be sued.
Yep.
That's the big thing that you don't get right now. Section 230 is all they have to basically say when they walk into court. Obviously, it's more complicated than that. And you get no discovery or anything. You don't even get to look and go, hey, I've seen this. We know that this is going on. Discovery would say, hey, hand over your files. Nope. Section 230 protection, case dismissed.
It's an easy change. So here's what Mr. Carr wrote on 230. He said, Congress should do so by ensuring that that internet companies no longer have carte blanche to censor protected speech while maintaining their Section 230 protections. There you go. Make them pick a lane. Here's another claim that the left is making, that Carr believes in the conspiracy that big tech discriminates against conservatives. So everything that they claim, I'm like, oh, yeah, I agree. Except conspiracy. That one word makes your statement a lie. But this comes from CNN. Claims of conservative censorship erupted several years ago as a result of content moderation decisions by social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. Carr advanced this belief in a recent letter to the CEOs of Meta, Alphabet, Microsoft, and Apple. Yeah, you certainly should add YouTube to that list because then CEO Susan Wojcicki said, yeah, we did. Right? We've experienced it. I know $3 million a year doesn't seem like that big of a deal when you take into account Brian Stelter or Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert's salary. But for us, it's a lot. For us, that's big. A handful of other Bug Club undercover investigations. That's being able to get the resources that we used on election night. So we lost it. We were okay with it because we don't think that we're entitled to being paid by YouTube as a business partner. But what they did do was create a new set of guidelines, a new set of rules, because they said, look, Steven Crowder has not violated the rules. So we're going to create new rules because we have to appease the leftist mob. That is not being a platform. You are now a publisher. It's not a conspiracy. It's been proven. It's been admitted to by those on the left. Here's the truth. Of course, Carr does understand and observe what is taking place in reality. And he does want to do something about it, about the big tech censorship. He wrote this on X just last week. Facebook, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and others have played central roles in the censorship cartel. The Orwellian-named NewsGuard, along with fact-checking groups and ad agencies, helped enforce one-sided narratives. The censorship cartel must be dismantled. Now, this is very interesting, and not to inject ourselves into the story, but this is something that we've had to fight against quite a bit. We have a lawyer on retainer, half-Asian Bill Richmond, half-Asian Kraken. He's unbelievable. He's probably the first lawyer to have to file some of these motions against big tech companies out of anyone out there. And one of them was we wanted to know, well, hold on a second. You say that you have these third-party companies, agencies, setting the new guidelines. When they created new guidelines, we said, well, which companies and what are the guidelines? And they said, we can't tell you that. We said, why? They said, because you're a stranger. So,
to be fair, they didn't say the stranger part.
They didn't say the stranger part. NewsGuard is one of them. We know that now. Now, NewsGuard, they rate media reliability. I just want to be clear. They are not even kind of, it is a leftist activist organization, to be clear. NewsGuard is a leftist activist organization. 2020, let me read you some. They won this countering disinformation contest from the Pentagon for, quote, detecting COVID-19 misinformation and disinformation. So at that period, in time, remember, if you said that maybe it didn't leak from a wet market in Wuhan, boom, removed. Right? Remember, if you said, hold on a second, wait, hold on a second. Maybe the Imperial College of London actually is flawed and we're not going to see the same death rates. Oh, removed. If you said, hold on a second, more children, more toddlers die from the flu on an annual basis than COVID total, removed. We were suspended, right? This is the company or organization. They won an award, a contest from the Pentagon for detecting COVID-19 misinformation and disinformation. Let me ask you this. Do you think that big tech did a good job in addressing COVID-19 information online when they removed practicing doctors, for example, for talking about treatments that we now acknowledge
But don't
as
forget
effective?
a sitting governor, Ron DeSantis, with, I believe, medical professionals from like Stanford, Oxford, and then maybe Harvard or something like that. I can't remember the three, but it was like having a conversation about it.
Right? NewsGuard
Yes.
was there. In 2021, NewsGuard was then rewarded with a DoD contract. In the 2022 midterms, NewsGuard wrote a report titled, "Making YouTube Look Good, Rumble Becomes Hoax Central Ahead of the Midterms." And here's the thing, you may not remember this, had the biggest election stream on YouTube ever in 2016, were suspended for something years old just in time for the midterms. So we announced to you that we were going to be streaming midterms from Rumble. And then there was a movement to try and get Rumble to either drop creators like ourselves or for governments to ban Rumble. So it's not enough when the left says, if you don't like YouTube, go somewhere else. You go somewhere else, you create something else, they try and remove that too. Our position is, hey, YouTube, Google, just allow everyone. That's it. We're not asking for anyone to be removed.
No.
You're asking not only for channels that have built your company to be removed, but platforms that have nothing to do with your company. For example, we can't sell our socialism is for fake shirts and be on in the merch store and be anywhere on YouTube or other social media. That's not their store. That's not their website.
And it's figs. It doesn't even matter.
So in 2020,
Can I add one thing to that?
Yes.
And also, let advertisers choose who they want to put their ads with. I understand that some advertisers may not want to sponsor this show, and some may not want to sponsor, I don't know, Brian Stelter's a podcast if he has one. But there are tons that do. Why don't you just let them pick? They can pick the ideologies that they want to go with. They're like, if it's super conservative content, maybe not. We'll go with middle of the road or liberal. Fine, I don't care. I don't like that, but whatever. They get to choose.
Well, just look at just in the last week, right? Don Lemon is leaving X, and he's going to go start his own podcast. What did we say? Good luck. Chris Wallace leaving. I'm going to go start my own podcast. Good luck. We've told you that every major Hollywood star has a podcast, and they don't do well because they're fundamentally uninteresting and completely uninformed. Good luck. We even asked for any of them to be removed. They just appeared on Piers Morgan, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Of the guy, Tim Miller, former manager advisor to Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney, gay, former Republican guy. All he did was come on and say, I'm garbage, Steven Crowder is garbage and he's awful and hate speech, whatever. And I've still not said he needs to be removed from you. Go listen to him. Good luck. Let's hear his arguments. He doesn't make them. You've never heard us ask for people to be removed unless they are breaking the law. Something else too. Look, very open. And we'll take your chats. Do you guys, I hope that you can appreciate we're open about our biases. I guarantee you that people right now in chat, you have something on which we disagree. It's okay. You know where I'm coming from. I'll make my case, and we work really, it drives Lane the Brain nuts. We're the only place that work really, really hard to provide you with references. And that, by the way, that's no small task every day to compile them and get them up on the website. Because we want you to be able to inform yourself as much as possible. Watch this. 2 hours, you get what you need to know. We try and condense it, but if you want to learn more, please do. In 2023, NewsGuard gave this, Louder with Crowder, a red rating of 5 out of 10 stars.
Come on.
Red 5? That's my favorite die.
Compare it to Pod Save America. They got a green 9 out of 10. I don't know that Pod Saves America ever provides references for you to peruse. I would love to ask them, hold on a second.
Unbelievable.
And the references lean heavily, heavily left. Well, which references do you have a problem with? What practices do you have a problem with? Which statements that we have made definitively today do you have a problem with? Oh, wait. Do you mean jokes? Is that what you mean? Because you don't rate Colbert. You don't rate leftist shows that combine both comedy and information. The difference is we provide all of our references and we go to great lengths to try and make sure that they actually lean left. because we don't want you to live in an echo chamber. So I'd be curious as to where they come from that rating. I'm certainly more open about being right-leaning.
Exactly, and you know how much the left hates InfoWars and everything that's going on. Of
course,
now, right? I don't know that there's a name that you could throw out there that the left would hate more in the media. They rated us as less trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
That chart that we showed you
as more right-leaning.
Well, I mean,
Not this
to be
group
fair,
particularly, but
I think we just jumped up a spot.
Oh well, no, that's in.
Wait, no, the Onion was actually rated more reliable.
Yes.
My bad.
Yeah.
It's just it's
That's gonna be an Onion article. Watch.
this is what they do. All right, fine.
Make some phone calls.
Here's another claim that they make, that Carr will punish TV stations on behalf of Donald Trump. Here's the truth. Carr has been pretty clear in communicating this, where he's talked about the equal time rule, which, by the way, was often trumpeted by the left, he also tried to address the deceptive editing of interviews, particularly in this election cycle where we saw that take place, and that affects, the outcome as far as the future of our constitutional republic.
I mean, one of the remedies the FCC has ultimately would be license revocation if we find that it's egregious, and we'll see what they have to say about this. But it needs to deter this type of conduct, because when you're 50 hours before the opening of Election Day, the whole purpose of this rule is to give people a fair shot. The news distortion rule is a very, very narrow rule at the FCC. In almost every case, it doesn't apply because it could get into sort of editorial decisions that are protected by the First Amendment. But what he said is that CBS should release the transcript. And the reason why this complaint is not frivolous is because the rules say, for instance, the example we've given is if you take an answer to a question that is a yes and you replace the answer of no from a different question, that's something that would potentially fall within the news distortion rule. My position is I agree with Catherine Herridge. She was a former CBS reporter. She has said that she thinks, just as a matter of journalistic practice, CBS should release the transcript. And I think that's right. I don't think this needs to be a federal case, because I think CBS should release it, and then that would, inoculate entirely CBS from that FCC complaint.
So you see a pattern here, and this is a very consistent pattern that you see from the right, most of the right, I should say. Pushing for transparency and pushing for equal rules for everybody. The left pushes for banning of voices they don't like. All right, equal time. I don't even know that I would agree with him on that, because I don't think that a network should be forced to provide equal time as long as we know that they're opinion journalists, which is pretty much all news. But yeah, certainly deceptively editing interviews to mislead people, I think that's important. Again, I don't think that people should be banned from eating Oreos. I do think that people should be able to trust the labeling on their food, which is where RFK Jr. and I would agree. Does that make sense? You can comment. We'll take some of your chats.
Totally reasonable.
I think you should be able to take experimental drugs if you want to. If you're facing some kind of terminal disease and it's something that hasn't gone through the approval process and you sign off on the risks, I think you should be allowed to. I think you need to be made aware of those risks. That's the kind of freedom, personal freedom that I believe in.
Me.
Yeah, as long as you know. Here's another claim that the left will make about Carr. And this is that he's going to be a simp out there for Elon Musk. And what's so funny about Elon Musk is this is the guy who the left would have supported wholesale, and they did, until they realized he didn't agree with their totalitarianism. This is a guy, right? Electric cars, right? Doing away with the gasoline engine. He's done more for that than anyone on earth. This is a guy who has made a huge part of his technological portfolio providing broadband internet to people who wouldn't be able to access it in rural areas. These are all things that the left would be on board with, if not for the fact that he's Elon Musk. So this comes from MSNBC. Trump's choice to lead the Federal Communications Commission is a MAGA loyalist, seemingly hell-bent on helping Elon Musk. Well, here's the truth. Carr wants specifically to support Starlink in providing broadband access for more Americans.
Because it's the best one.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing. This is actually quite moderate, because it honestly could be argued from a conservative standpoint that it's not the government's job to issue any kind of a contract out there to a company to provide broadband for people. Like, it's something that should be just a private exchange of goods and services because it's a commodity. That can be argued. He's not even taking that position. The position that he is taking is the government has wasted so much money spending on trying to create broadband for rural areas anyway, with no results, that you might as well go with the company that already has results. So in 2022, the FCC revoked an $885 million grant to Starlink. and they claimed that Starlink did not meet the requirements. So Carr said, in my view, it amounted to nothing more than regulatory lawfare against one of the left's top targets, Mr. Musk. Rural communities stuck on the wrong side of the digital divide are the ones paying the price. And again, for context, the government did issue a contract for $42.4 billion for broadband in rural communities. I believe this was overseen by Kamala Harris. And not one person actually gained internet access as a result.
In 2021, Vice President Harris agreed to lead the administration's signature $42 billion effort to extend internet service to millions of Americans. It's now been 1,039 days since that program was enacted. After all of that time, not one person has been connected to the internet. Not one home, not one business. Not even one shovel worth of dirt has been turned.
Wow. Where's the money then? Can we reap there? Like,
Yeah,
you
we
can
should have it
build
back,
two
right?
walls with that.
Maybe they invested it and we have a return that's pretty nice.
And just think about compared to $42 billion spent on an objective failure. And the government all of a sudden decided to have standards of fiscal responsibility when it was $885 million, not billion, as far as a grant to Starlink.
And that's the future, too. Like, you're building something from the past by doing broadband the way that they're trying to do it. You've literally, Starlink, you mail it to someone pretty much anywhere on the globe, and they turn it on.
Yeah.
Well,
That's how it works.
the problem is that it works.
Yes.
And when the internet does work and you spend the money, the government money on it, then there's no one else to get another contract next time.
Yeah. Exactly.
So they need to help their friends out or themselves, their own pockets.
What was a recent study? I'm sure Mission Control can bring this to me, that it was confirmed through, I believe it was the Congressional Budget Office when they did an audit, $500 billion a year that is lost to fraud, actual fraud in taxpayer dollars, $500 billion a year. You guys can bring it up.
$500 billion?
I believe it was $500 billion a
Holy
year. If I'm misspeaking and it was million, I don't know. But it was, I'm
God,
pretty
I
sure it
hope
was in
so.
the
Either
billions
way,
of dollars lost to fraud.
Yes. Either way, I understand that we're talking, when you talk about the federal budget, your prices move up quite a bit, and so it's all relative. But $500 million would be enough for me to go, can we spend $10 million to try to save $500 million and kind of root out the fraud, or can we spend 20? No,
There you go. Between $233 billion, that's the low end, and $521 billion lost to fraud.
That's a lot of
Between
nuts.
2018 and 2022.
But that's an annual number. Direct annual financial losses to the government between those years. Each year, losing.
So each year they were losing between. So in other words, 1 year could be 233, 1 year could be 521. So yeah, again, going by rote was pretty accurate. Again, I'll probably get rated by NewsGuard a 5 out of 10 because I said $500 billion.
And right now,
you went down.
the recipients of that money or the holders of that money are shitting their pants.
Yeah.
Knowing that
The fraudsters?
the Department of Government Efficiency is coming.
Well, on
They
the
must
plus
be-
side, in 2024, they did update the numbers, and now we're just above InfoWars.
Hey, look at that.
Oh, hey, we're in Dan Bongino's right there too.
That's
So
right.
good
There
company.
you go.
All right.
Good. You could line up all of those right there. There's only one place that provides the references publicly.
I know.
If I get carted out for trash day tomorrow, my body, I hope that if I've had one impact, it's encouraging everyone else to follow suit and start making the references publicly available. That's one thing that I liked when we used to read books and had bibliographies. Of course, it was impossible to actually check the references because you didn't have all the other books. But making that available, I think, is pretty important. Hopefully, it's something that that doesn't go unnoticed because I wish I would have had it. When I created the show, I said, hey, let's create what it is that we want out there and doesn't exist. If you notice the trend here with a lot of these picks, but certainly Mr. Carr, you see two trends: efficiency and transparency. Whether you're looking at Starlink, whether you're looking at big tech, whether you're looking at what is taking place with media, you are seeing across the board efficiency. Let's start trimming down some of this waste, and we need to have transparency. 230, let's pick a lane. Hey, let's see where these contracts are going, because many, many tens of billions of dollars and not one person on the internet, we can do better. We can do better than does anyone disagree with that? $42 billion spent and not one person connected to the internet. Does the left honestly think we can't do better than that? 233 is your best year since 2018. $233 billion lost to fraud. That's not mismanagement. That's not bloat. That's just fraud, meaning it's gone. We don't know where it is. We can't do better than that.
The uneducated white guy who owns the pizza shop in my neighborhood will give me a refund if he doesn't deliver it in 30 minutes.
Yes, exactly. The
How about,
uneducated.
yeah. Well, but he's doing just fine. How about you refund that money?
Right.
Let's give it back.
Yeah. You know what? He would be able to
the
identify
company?
fraud because he has to run a business.
Should you find that company? We should put that company into the court.
Yep.
Oh, weaponization. Sorry, can't do that. Can't hold people accountable.
That's right.
Weaponization.
It would be weaponizing It would be weaponizing our agencies to do what they're supposed to do. Don't know if you know this, but places like the FBI, the CIA, or even the IRS, they largely are there to protect you from things like fraud. Hey, how do we have 70,000 new IRS agents and we don't have anyone in a position who could get to the bottom of, I'm not saying all 500 billion, 50 billion.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, let's just
It's a
reduce
10%,
it.
Yes.
Baby steps. Baby steps. Find out who defrauded us of $50 billion. Baby steps.
go.
Maybe we get to $100 billion. And that would only cover a fraction of 1 year. Like when people say, well, you're not going to be able to, the deficit, the debt. Well, hold on a second. Just look at that. Just start with that. That's outright fraud.
We just
Okay,
put
do
all
it
of
with
that
that.
to the deficit, right? And then maybe eventually we don't run a deficit and we can pay off some of the debt that we have here. But I hope that Elon Musk and Vivek go in there and do literally like the Twitter files with Elon going into Twitter and saying, here's all of this communication. I think we're just at a point where if you want to restore trust in institutions, it's not going to come from Elon saying anything or Trump saying anything. I'm sorry, it just won't, because people have been lied to too many times and you're just not going to trust, because it's going to seem outrageous. I think the things that we're going to find out, and we're going to be like, no, and the fake news media is going to run with it and say, no, that's not true. Just release it to the American people. Let us see the documents. Let us see the communications between these officials. And I'm not talking just about, departments with fraud. I'm talking about the Department of Justice as well. I'm talking about institutions that we have come to kind of rely on. I'm talking about knowing what Anthony Fauci was saying completely behind the scenes. Listen, you're in a government job. We, the people, have a right to know what's going on with the government that we allow to have control over us, not that has control over us.
Good point.
And kind of runs our day-to-day lives in some way, maybe more so than we want. We have a right to that information.
Yes, we do.
And it's the only thing that's going to restore trust.
It's my money and I need it now.
That's right.
Government positions shouldn't be considered one of the best, coolest, secretive jobs you can get.
Right. No, that's
People should be doing it despite the fact that it's a crap job.
Yeah.
That it sucks. That's we should pay them well, and they should do the job that sucks and then not be able to do it for the rest of their lives.
You mispronounced public servant.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say.
Your nation is calling on you to serve. Will you heed the call? Well, that depends. Well, it comes with a larger than average annual salary, many benefits, and by the way, immunity from insider trading. Does that sound good? Yep, sir. Yes.
You have a lot of actionable information come across your desk.
You should be able to be challenged for your seat, like a tribe.
Yes. Yes. Thunderdome.
I don't hate the guy, but Ted Cruz.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Your time's up, buddy. Meet me in the Thunderdome.
There you go.
Two senators enter. Only one leaves. Is that what it is?
Well, two men enter, one senator leaves.
Right. Two men enter, one senator leaves. I bet you my money's on RFK. By the way, how much do you want to bet that RFK Jr. is just, he is the equivalent of Are We There Yet asking about the JFK files to be released.
Yeah.
How about now? Can I read it now?
Can I do it now?
Look, RFK, I'm going to turn this private plane around. Eat your tallow fries.
Text Elon, let him know.
I hope so badly they get to release all that stuff, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
I'm excited.
I know.
I mean, the left's going to be pissed when they
burning
find
things
out what
right
really
now,
happened
lawyers.
to MLK and JFK and all the other
That's
Ks.
another flop. Remember, that was Oliver Stone, the JFK in the movie, and people on the right crazy hippies. And now we're going, hey, you know what? Maybe they were right about some things. We don't trust the government. Like, no, we were joking about that. Hey, if you're still watching this, I appreciate it. And let's just shoot straight. Obviously, you have a lot of time on your hands. You're not doing anything today. So comment below. It helps with the YouTube algorithms from the overlords, or just watch one of these other. If you want to kill some more time, watch this video here. It's going to be very similar. And shoot, I rolled over my headphone cord. It doesn't just click. Is that broken?